Welcome. I think most of us are in Toronto, and I don't know if anyone has been outside in like the last 2 hours, but at 3 o'clock, I decided to take my baby and my toddler for a walk, and I think we got swept up by a tornado. Like literally, my 3-year-old just like blew over. He blew over. He fell over, and then I was like wrangling the stroller so the baby wouldn't fall too. And it made me really grateful for my yoga practice because thanks to yoga, we learn proprioception. We're not born with this skill, and we can start to really balance in the strangest of situations. So, anytime you're outside this evening, if you have to venture out into that windy weather, your yoga practice will keep you balanced. That's just a sidebar. It has nothing to do with class. This class is all about food and drink and the things that we put inside of our body. And so you do need a journal and something to write with, pen, pencil. And if you can use something tactile that you can keep in front of you that won't distract you. So if you're using a laptop, cool. It's 2020, but try not to get distracted and go check your social media while you're supposed to be journaling about whatever we get into. And lots of props. So gather your props, press play on your playlist, and then go ahead and sit up nice and tall on a prop. So blanket, bolster, cushion, whatever you've got, sit up nice and tall on your prop. Close your eyes. And take a few of those. Take a few of those breaths that just like fall out of you. You breathe in, you capture a little more air than you normally would if you weren't paying attention. And when you breathe out, it's like, oh, all of that weight, all of that stuff, all of that worry just pours off your shoulders. A few breaths like that. Let your teeth separate if they're clenched against one another. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. Your body's getting really, really lazy tonight. Notice where it's not lazy. Notice where you're holding on to tension, your shoulders, your gut, your hips, and just mindfully, like really intentionally relax those spaces in your body. Sometimes it helps to actually visualize the bones, your shoulders, the muscles, softening, relaxing. Good, and now place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. It doesn't matter which hand goes where. And set the intention of self-observation, self-observation. Tonight's journey will take us through postures intended to calm your nervous system and your digestive system, but also designed to ignite a sense of curiosity about the choices we make around the things that we consume in a tender and loving and compassionate way. Gather your hands together in front of your heart. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth wide and exhale. And sing or listen to the sound Om 3 times. So singing is banned in many public settings right now, but it's really wonderful for digestion. So if you can sing with me, come on and sing with me. 3 Oms. Inhale. Gently open your eyes, release your hands down into your lap. And we'll start in this seat. I hope you're comfortable. If your feet are asleep, move them around with just some really gentle, subtle twisting. So could you take both arms up overhead? Reach both arms up overhead. And then turn your torso, your gaze, and your hands to one side. It doesn't matter what side. Lower your hands down to the floor. So one hand is behind your back, one hand grazes your front leg. Inhale, take both hands back up overhead. You might look up. And exhale, rotate to the opposite side. That's it. So a moving meditation in this twist. Inhale, stretch your arms high. Exhale, rotate. You might gaze behind you. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, rotate. One more time in both directions. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, stretch your arms high. Exhale, rotate. Now inhale, reach both arms up overhead. Look up, lift up. And as you exhale and rotate, let's pause here. Take your front hand to the top of that front leg. Walk your back hand behind you. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, turn your head by any amount. And now try to make a really big breath. So imagine your body's expanding in all four directions on your inhale. And on your exhale, it's contracting down into your center line. Tuck your chin to your chest if this hurts your head or your neck. One more really voluptuous breath here. And as you exhale, pull back through center. Take your arms up, up, and away. Rotate to the opposite side. 3 cycles of breath and really big breath, exaggerated breath, ballooning breath. Gaze behind you or drop your chin down. You're finding a place that feels safe here. Now come back through center. Inhale, stretch both arms up. And exhale, place your hands onto the floor. Place your hands onto the floor in front of you. Start to walk forward by any amount. Grind your hip bones down towards the earth. Press your palms into the floor. Round into your upper back and look towards your belly. Our source of inspiration tonight. And then lift your shoulders back. Lift your heart, lift your chest. Look up. Say hello. Good. Rounding. Curving into that cat spine. Take yourself out of that rounded shape into big, big spinal extension. So you're opening your heart and your chest. You got it. So it's just a variation of cat-cow, right? Do 2 more of those. Notice how this feels through your breath, through your body, through your brain. Last time. Really good. And then come to sit back upright. Take your prop out from beneath you. Turn your body around and we'll land in child's pose. So start with prop straight away. Since it's restorative, you might choose to use props more than you normally would, even if you can come into this pose quite comfortably. So places you could place props here. Under your bum, as it rests down towards your heels. You might place something under your ankle joints if they're sensitive, or directly out in front of your torso. So I like to take my bolster, reach it out in front of my pelvis, and then add a bonus pillow on top before sinking down into this nice deep stretch. And since this is restorative, resist the temptation to stretch out your arms in full extension. Rather, can you keep your arms bent in a way that allows your shoulder joints to relax? You're coming all the way down into this nice, cozy child's pose. Really good. When you get there, right away, take that big, big breath. And then exhale, let your whole body surrender down onto these props, knowing that they're here to catch you and that you're in the driver's seat. So if you feel pain, discomfort, dis-ease at any time during this practice, you simply pull yourself out of this shape and find a place that feels safe for you. So in each of the postures tonight, I will pose a question. After that posture, we will come out and our transition in between shapes will be writing. Each of these questions is related to the foods that you eat and the drinks that you drink. And this has been pulled from a study from Harvard Medical School about food journaling and how one of the first steps in accessing a healthier version of ourselves is to become aware of ourselves and to understand and know truthfully, actually, how we consume things on a daily basis. So let's start that journey in this pose by just asking ourselves, what do we eat? Ask yourself, what do I eat? And take yourself through an average day of what you eat. We often have food patterns, types of food that we eat. Like I eat eggs, oatmeal, or pancakes for breakfast every single day. Every single day. So I want you to just start mapping out in your mind's eye what kinds of foods and drinks you eat on a regular basis. So what are the things that you eat that are quite consistent? And we'll linger here in that thought process, in that meditation for a few minutes on your own. There'll be a lot of silence tonight in these shapes, but trust me, I'm here and I will pull you out of the pose when our time is up. Go ahead and dive in. Here's your halfway mark in this shape. You might choose to turn and rest on the opposite cheek. And if you haven't already explored what kinds of food you eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night snack, what kind of drinks you drink on a regular basis, start to move through every minute of the day, just observing your consumption patterns. Let's take 3 final breaths together. Inhale where you are. And exhale out all your air. Inhale. Exhale. And now on this third inhale, walk your hands in towards your body. Lift your torso upright. Shuffle your props out to either side. Shuffle your legs out in front. And just move your legs, your ankles around here. Find your journal. We have just 1 minute for these little writing exercises. And scribble down all the foods that came to your mind. So what kind of food do you eat? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What foods do you eat? Make sure to include what drinks you tend to drink. If you have that PC Optimum app, you can find out all the foods you eat after this if you can't think about it, because they track everything and then sell you coupons for it. It's pretty wild. A few more seconds here, just adding in anything. When you've scribbled down your notes, move that sheet out to the side. And bring some props out in front of you as you sit down onto a pillow or a cushion, just like we did in our initial meditation, and bring the soles of your feet together. So we'll take a forward fold, so supported butterfly pose with our props. Bring the soles of your feet together, creating that diamond shape in between your legs, and you start to shear along the insides of your legs here. Just shift your weight from side to side. And slowly weave your body down towards your props. So I have my bolster down here on quite a low height. It's a bit tricky to rest in that place. If I go all the way down, it feels more yin, more active. We want this to be really gentle. So set your prop somewhere where you can really surrender and release into the stretch. And that might mean your prop is on full extension. You might have a bolster all the way up, or 10 pillows or blankets, whatever you're working with in your home practice. When you get into this place, go ahead and take a deep breath in, right into your shoulder blades, in fact, and then exhale, let your body soften back down towards the floor. Notice your stomach and the sensation of your stomach rising and falling with your breath. And in this pose, I'd like you to just reflect on the time of day that you're consuming food and drink, okay? So in a moment, you'll come to your journal. This is the kind of pose where if your journal's already nearby, you can scribble it while you're in the pose. But what time of day are you drinking your coffee or drinking your wine? What time of day are you eating sweets or carbs, proteins or legumes? And just start to explore that. I'll let you know when our time in this shape is up. Breathing here. You're halfway there. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale, stay with it. Notice where you're carrying tension. Can you relax the spaces between your eyes? Relax your lips and your jaw. Let your shoulders melt down towards your props. Ease through your hip flexors. Even your toes are relaxed here. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Gradually press your hands into the floor. Come back upright. Take your time. Move your prop out to the side or props. Lean back onto your hands and just flop your knees and your legs from side to side. Now grab your little piece of paper or your journal and go ahead and just add times to some of those foods. And it doesn't have to be like 7:27 exactly, but you can add a time range. It could be morning, afternoon. When I was reflecting in that pose, I realized that every day at 3 p.m. I need my coffee or my sweet. So just start to notice the patterns here. And if other foods came up, you realized, oh, I have nachos like every night at 10 p.m. right before bed, you can add that now. One of my friends told me before the pandemic, they would always wait until 5 o'clock to have wine, but now they just have it whenever. So just notice the patterns of your life right now. There's no judgment. You're just observing. And then set your paper out to the side. So this next shape is called half frog pose. And we do this pose right down from our tummy. So you can watch first. I'm down on my belly. You can place a blanket under your head. And my right leg here, I'm just bending my right knee, drawing my right knee up towards my armpit, and then slinking my whole body down onto the floor. So some of my students call this the splatter pose. And what's happening here is we're pressing your stomach and all your digestive organs right into the floor, and then intensifying that by hugging your knee and your hip in. So half frog pose. And just one leg bent up, and the bottom of that leg, your shin and your foot, you can orient it however you want. So it's okay if you want to send it really close in towards your bum, or if it feels better to open it out. My friends with sensitive knees, you'll plug a blanket right under that right knee. Go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose. Take a deep breath in through your nose here. And then exhale. Imagine that you had a weighted blanket just being draped right over your body. So everything really, really softens into the earth. Yeah. Now I want you to think about all of those foods and drinks that you typically consume. And just start to explore the question of how do you feel when you eat those foods and drinks, right? How do you feel? Do you feel strong? When you have your coffee, do you feel ready to go run a race? Do you feel tired? Do you feel lethargic or gassy? How do you feel when you eat those foods? And as you think this and feel this, you're stimulating lots of digestive organs right now. So if your body starts to make silly noises, it's okay. Your audio is turned off. I cannot hear you. Let's be here for 2 minutes in silence. 3 more breaths together. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Inhale. And exhale. This time as you inhale, straighten out that bent leg. Wiggle your bum, wiggle your ankles. Readjust your head and neck. And just slide the opposite leg into that bent knee position, driving it up towards your armpit. You can always rest a blanket under your head, turn to a different cheek. And feel your belly and all those guts inside of you really dripping down into your yoga mat. Take a big breath in and exhale. And now I'd like you to simply reflect on where you are eating. So we looked at the time, how we feel, what it is we're consuming, but where are you eating? Do you have a dining room table? Do you eat on the floor? Where are you eating? Inside, outside, at your office desk? And allow these thoughts to come and then drift away as you settle into stillness for just 2 minutes here. Take 3 more deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Stretch out both legs, wiggle your ankles, your bum, your head. And if your notepad is nearby, you might just prop yourself up into a Sphinx pose. So prop yourself up onto your elbows and write into your journal from here. Otherwise, please take your time to come all the way back upright. Find your journal, and we'll put 1 minute on the clock. I'd like you to write down here a feeling physically, emotionally, beside each of the foods that you've outlined in your little journal exercise. So how do these foods make you feel? And it might be really really personal. Like you might realize, oh, coffee makes me gassy. Oh, pancakes make me bloated. Oh, oatmeal never fills me up. And I want you to write all that stuff down. So everything that comes to your mind, write it down beside those foods. You can write emotions too, right? So like this food makes me feel happy or excited or angry, or this food feels like a gift, right? There are certain things we eat that's like a treat. And then take another moment here and just scan through this list and write down where you tend to eat these meals. Maybe you always eat breakfast in one place, lunch in a different place, dinner in a different place, and maybe you only have coffee when you're sitting at your computer, or you have a beer when you're watching a sports game. I don't know. Just notice the associations that you have with each of these things you consume and write those down. Take about 5 more seconds to wrap those little write-ups up. And for our next pose, I'll show you a few different variations. So this is the one where we need all of the props. It's called hero pose or saddle pose in a yin yoga setting. But in yin, we wouldn't use so many props, and I'd like to use lots and lots today. I'll show you two different variations in case you're working through some joint issues in your knees and your hips, and this is simply not possible. So in the first variation, I placed a blanket about halfway down my yoga mat, and I'm sitting down on that blanket with my knees mat distance apart and my heels underneath my bum. Behind me, I've set up a folded blanket, and because this is a big back bend, I'm going to actually place my bolster on top of that folded blanket. So if you have a stack of blankets, you can put them there. Now gradually, I'm going to draw my tailbone down, pull my pubic bone up, walk my hands back behind me, and come into this really deep stretch through the front line of my quads, as well as through my spine. You might safely and patiently come down into saddle pose or hero pose with all of your props supporting your journey there. If you feel unsafe in this pose, and this is a common pose to feel unsafe in because it's putting pressure on your ankle joints, your knee joints, your spinal joints, then I'd like you instead to take a more familiar pose that does a lot of the same work without the impact on your joints, called bridge pose, right? And in supported bridge pose, the restorative variation, you'll simply take a stack of props to the center of your mat, and then bring your lumbar spine, right, the lowest little point in your back, onto that stack of props. Come to lie down. So now your spine, your back is on the floor, your shoulders are on the floor, the crown of your head reaches forward, and the back of your head sets on the floor with your neck long. Your hips are on your stack of blocks, however high they are, or blankets, and your knees can be bent or extended. So two shapes, one familiar experience in each shape, which is the shearing of your tissues along your deep front line. We're really pulling along your stomach here, opening across your chest, releasing along the fronts of your quads. You could try both and then settle on one. We're here for a little bit of time, so about 4 minutes in total. Take as much time as you need to get comfy and cozy in the shape. And when you settle into your place, close your eyes and take a big breath in through your nose. Open your mouth wide and exhale. With your stomach so graciously lifted and exposed here, I'd like you to reflect on what else you're doing when you're consuming foods. Do you always have the television on, your laptop, iPad, cell phone? Are you a technology eater? Do you always have technology around when you're eating? Maybe you're like me and you have a bundle of kids and you're kind of eating, but mostly just making sure that they eat. Perhaps you like to draw or journal while you're eating. I remember when I ran a yoga retreat to Italy, it was just, you just talked. You talked and you talked and you talked, and the meals lasted like 5 hours. You talked and ate and drank and talked and talked. So, what are your habits, your tendencies when you're eating? And just reflect on that. Maybe think about the ones that you really love, the ones that perhaps don't feel as good when you reflect on them. Just notice that. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, soften. If you feel pain at any point in time, feel yourself out. You're halfway there. 2 minutes in silence now. Enjoy. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Take a big breath in. Push that breath out. If you're lying on your back in bridge pose, imprint your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up, move your props out to the side, then lower back down to the earth where you'll move however you need to move. If you're in saddle pose, go 1,000 times slower than you want to. Press your hands into the earth as you start to lift up your spine. Your chin tucks into your chest. Walk your hands forward so much that you can eventually release your legs out to either side, and then take your legs out in front. Notice any sensitivities in your knees. I like to actually give my legs a little massage here, so you might just rub your quads, your thighs, your calves. Really good. Move all your props out to either side. And come to your journal. So find your journal and take a minute to just reflect on what else you're doing when you're eating. So what are the things that you tend to do when you're eating? And if there's certain meal brackets, like if you're always focused and present during breakfast, but always distracted during lunch on your computer, and then focus during dinner, write that down. Notice these patterns. Maybe could you even circle if there's a particular food or drink items that you're always distracted or doing something else while you're consuming those things. Just circle those, make a little star around them. And when you've done that, I'd like you to come all the way down onto your mat so we can take ourselves into a supportive, restorative twist. And this means you'll need props to catch your legs on either side. So you might drag a blanket to the left and a blanket to the right. And from your back, simply take your knees over towards the right. Either take a blanket or a prop, whatever you're using, between your legs, beneath your legs, or if you fold it up into a square or a rectangle, you could place it right on top of your left hip. This just adds a little bit of weight. You might even manipulate your hip with your right hand and start to drag it down. Oh, I miss going to live yoga classes and getting that adjustment from my favorite teachers. And then open your arms wide. If you prefer to bend at your elbows, that's okay. And take your gaze over your left shoulder, unless that causes pain, in which case you just settle your head forward, even to the right. Close your eyes, take a big breath in through your nose, and exhale. And now I'd like you to reflect on who you tend to eat or drink with. Who? This might be limited because of the world we live in right now. I'd just like you to consider if certain types of people that you're consuming foods and drinks with are influencing the types of foods and drinks you consume, the distractions you entertain while you consume those foods and drinks, the portion sizes you eat. And just start to reflect on that. 2 minutes here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, soften. Inhale. Exhale. Take one final breath in. Let that breath go. Slowly, sluggishly, lazily draw your knees through center. Take a moment here if you need to make a move or pose between sides. Go right ahead. If you're ready to keep journeying on, take your legs over towards the left. Again, you can place the blanket beneath, above, or between those legs, whatever serves you. Open your arms wide or bend at your elbows, making goalpost arms, and then settle your head somewhere that feels right. Soften your eyes, your lips, your tummy. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, relax, relax, relax. Total stillness, total silence here. I'll let you know when our time is up. Linger a little bit longer here. Take 3 more breaths. Slowly navigate your legs back through center. Take any final shifts or movements that you'd like, and then release your whole body down to Shavasana. Cozy yourself up in as many blankets as you'd like. You might opt to place your hands on your stomach tonight or to rest them alongside your body. We will be here for 5 full minutes. I will hold space for you to stay here for 5 full minutes. Once you're nice and still, take a big breath in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. The final mental exercise here. Can you take a moment to think about foods and memories? So are there certain foods that create a feeling of nostalgia in you? I remember when the pandemic started, my husband, all he would eat every single day was canned Campbell's soup and grilled cheese. And it was because when he was a little boy and he was sick, that's what his mom would make him. So, with all of the uncertainty and chaos, he retreated to that comfort food, that real comfort food. Do you have any foods or drinks that you consume, maybe because of memories from your childhood or teenage years? And just explore those. You might find one where you can actually taste it, notice what it tastes like. Eventually, that reflection will slip away and you'll soften into that sweet white noise, that sweet blur that is Shavasana. I'll let you know when our time here is up. Please take a deep, deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth wide and exhale. Move the parts that feel like moving, your lips, your jaw, your head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Eventually, your whole body will stretch long until it rolls over onto the right side, where I'd ask you to take 3 breaths. Gently press yourself up to your seat. Find your journal one final time. And take note of who you're eating with, and if that has any impact on the way that you eat, the distractions you feel when you eat, the types of food, portions of food. And then drift your journaling into those memories. Are there foods that make you feel safe or comfortable? Foods that remind you of a good or bad time that you avoid or indulge in because of that. Just take note of those. Take another moment here, maybe about 1 minute. Yeah, we have a minute. Just see if you can piece this together. So is there anything on this page that really stands out to you? Maybe this has made it clear to you that you don't actually like eggs and you always feel sick when you eat them and you only eat them because they're easy and fast and cheap. Right? So just notice if there's anything here that really stands out. Are there foods you avoid because of certain memories? Or you indulge in because of certain memories? And then I'd like you to close by circling 3 things on this page that maybe you could do some deeper exploration into. Right? So if you realize that you're having like a bottle of red wine every night since March, like so many people, so many of my students have told me they are. You know, maybe you circle that. Maybe that's a place for reflection. If you realize that you're drinking too much or too little water, maybe you didn't even put water on the list. You know, just notice, is there anything worth highlighting here? And once you finish that, you'll find your Sukhasana, that seat on your yoga mat with your hands glued together in heart center. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth wide and exhale. 3 ohms. You can sing them or listen. Inhale. Thank you so much for practicing. Thank you for reflecting.